is Curtis. Welcome to the show. We got a great one lined up for you. Randy Foster couldn't make it this week, so stepping in is Stig Idesol from Norway. Don't worry, Tommy Polo, he's still here with all the latest news. Like I said, we've got a great show lined up for you. Stig Idesol is going to be doing a demonstration of the Triangle of Death. Okay, exposure, not death. Well, what am I saying? Also, we got a live demonstration of the new Air Magic from Skylum. Let's get this thing rolling.
Charge your batteries, lock in those props, and check that airspace. Join us live. This is the Drone Owners Network.
And like, boom, we are back. Season 1, Episode 2 in the books, and we're ready to go. Bam. Hey, guys, welcome to the show. Tommy's here. What's up, Tommy?
Hello, hello. How we doing?
You're rather colorful today, my brother.
This is my Dragon Ball Z get up.
And all the way from Norway, staying up late at night for us. Randy Foster couldn't make it. He's one of our normal co-hosts, but Stig Idesol is stepping in to cover for him today. Stig, thank you very much for staying up very late for us.
Hi, folks.
I want to do a couple of quick show notes here that I got kind of going before we get rolling. First of all, thank you everybody for watching last week. That was just awesome. It was beyond what we kind of expected. We're the new kids on the block. We have a new channel. We didn't use my channel. We didn't try to jumpstart anything. We wanted this show to just stand on its own. So we set up a whole new channel and just kind of went with it that way. But we want to thank everybody that kind of tuned in. We got a lot of feedback from you guys. We really, really appreciate the feedback. You guys can message us, by the way, and let us know that if things aren't working, hey, say, boo, dude, seriously, something's not working there. Let's see, what else was I going to say about? Oh, yeah, big shout out to the guys over at Coast to Coast Drones. See, Bill Thomas, Ron Brown, and Bill, the drone reviewer. Man, those guys were awesome. They shouted out on their live show. So if you get a chance, jump on over there, do a search on YouTube. I'll put a link in the notes after this show for all the things that we're going to be talking about. But Coast to Coast Drones, go check those guys out. They have a lot of fun over there as well. Let's see, what else we got here? Oh, yeah, this is kind of interesting. So the show open, first of all, let me back up just a little bit. The countdown from last week, some people were asking me, are we going to do this all the time? No, we're not going to do that countdown. That was a one-time thing. It was kind of a build-up to the whole launch of this channel. We're just going to do the little short intro that we did here. We're not going to be doing the countdown. But the music that you're hearing right now, I went on Audio Jungle and bought that music, and I had no idea. I just went and searched for upbeat music, and I came up with this song that I liked, and I purchased the rights to use the song. And then I got worried for a second because of all these copyright hits. So I sent an email to the artist, and I said, hey, did I purchase the correct license to use this song over and over? And he emailed me back, and he said, what are you doing? And I sent him a link to our last show, and he goes, dude, that was freaking awesome. And by the way, I fly in Inspire 1, and I know you. I'm in your Inspire 2 group. I was like, you're kidding. I'm like, you're kidding. So he doesn't want me to use his real name, but I'm going to put a link to his sale page on Envato Market in Audio Jungle. So if you guys want to check out his music, but I thought that was really cool. The guy he's in groups with us and stuff. So he's flying an Inspire 2 right now. He sent me some videos and everything. Really cool. So and we do have the correct license now, so we can use the music copyright free. Thank you. No copyright hits on that one. Let's see, got that one. Stig's going to be doing a live demo today of Air Magic. We're excited about that. I don't have it yet. I was just reading about it, and the one thing that I am excited about is that I found out it's a plug-in also, so it works with Lightroom as well. So
yeah, that's correct.
And you're going to do the Triangle of Death tutorial?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Triangle of Exposure. This is one
where it's boring like death.
No, this is one that I myself need to be listening to as well, because my exposure skills are not that good. I mean, I'll just out and out say it. When I go out and film, I'll use the AEB bracket, but I'll only pick the best exposure when I get back, and I'll develop that particular photo. I know. Stig's going to yell at me right now. Just the way it is.
Naughty Americans.
There's one other thing that I wanted to say, that a quick programming note. We are going to be doing a second show. It's going to be slightly different than this one. This one's sort of formatted out the way that we're going to be doing things. There's the opening of the show. the news, et cetera, et cetera. But we're looking to do some very interesting things coming up, and I have some. I mean, I should try to grab it. Should I grab this and show the guys, or just make them wait? I was going to show them the graphic.
Give you a little tease.
A little
Just a little
tease. Let me
little bit.
let me do this. We're going to do this live, and I shouldn't do this live, but we're going to do this live. Let me get my media source here. Okay, find this. Hang on. Where did I put it? It's not where I put it. What the heck? Tommy, talk for a second.
Okay, I'm going to talk. It's windy outside today. I couldn't fly today. I had to work all day. But I've been looking forward to the show all day, and I've been getting my stuff ready for what, I don't know. But I'm actually very anxious to hear Stig's presentation, because since last week, I'm still very, very nubacious to photography, and I haven't learned much in this 7 days. So, Stig, I'm looking forward to this. You come up with the stuff that you show us, and I can see the knowledge that you have with photography, and oh man, I can't wait to hound you with questions.
Oh yeah, and please send over questions, because that's the best way to teach, is to answer questions. But sometimes people forget that you need the basic down to the stuff, and that's what I'm going to touch into today: the basic of exposures and how to get them correct.
Well, I can't find that file just right this second. I don't want to do this live, but this does bring up a good point. And why is it doing that? What the heck is going on there? Oh, I know what's going on.
Basic is what I need, because I tend to jump. Okay, like you start here, but I want to start over here, like all the way up here. Like, okay, I'll learn that later, but I want to get the good stuff. So for me, I need to slow myself down and get what you're saying with the basics, so that way I can take off and learn the right way.
Yeah, and the good news is that with the software demonstration I'm doing today, to show how the possibilities with that, in the combination of a basic exposure skills, you are close to get good results already with that part. So I try
like
to
that.
people, especially some people might think I'm talking too basic, but I have learned from others that the basic are very often forgotten, and people start scratching their head and thinking, why can't I make those pictures stand out like others?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that relates to all kinds of stuff. I don't know how many times, like anybody that knows me, I work at a Subaru dealer as a technician. So there's several times that I'm guilty of, okay, the car comes in and only half the lights don't work. Okay, well, you know what? Then it's got to be some crazy wire that's been chewed on by a rat, and it's going to be buried underneath the thing on the carpet and everything else. Where now the fuse under it here was blown. So if you check your basics, check your fuse first.
I had fun with I had very fun with the early days of traveling with the computers for the photographers in the newspaper, and they called and said, "Oh, the computer won't go on." And I kind of said, "Did you check the plug?" Are you thinking I'm stupid? Just a second, I call you back later.
By the way, guys, in case you do want to reach us, if you can't reach us on Facebook, there's our email address right down there, droneownersnetworklive@gmail.com. There's a few people in the group chat over here. Airflix, cool intro, thumbs up from Copenhagen. Tony's in the house, Stig. Our good buddy Tony, yeah. Doug Mellon, looks and sounds better already. Thank you very much. Freddie says, hi, everyone. William R's there. Doug, I don't hear any music. Why don't you hear any music? I'm not sure. Should hear music. You mean the intro? Huh. Small world. Plug-in works great. Doug says the plug-in look. Oh, okay. Now Doug's going to start taking jabs at me. He says, I think we should start a collection to buy Curtis some sweatshirts and hats from a good NFL team. Seahawks, 12th man in the house. That's all there is to it.
The Stig's over here wondering, what the heck are they doing with this brown oval ball that bounces in weird directions when it hits the floor?
Yeah, why can't you use a regular ball? What's up with that?
Still American football.
Exactly. All right, so I say we get this thing started. What do you guys say? Let's go right to the news. You ready?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's do it.
Yeah, new intro there for Tommy. I couldn't. The other one, I was like, geez, it looks kind of standard. I got to get some drones in this thing. So anyway, here with the news is Mr. Tommy Polo.
Are we live? Well, good afternoon and or evening, ladies and gentlemen. We got the Drone Owners Network news. Tommy Polo here reporting. Today we have stories. They used a drone to film the Daytona 500 for the first time ever. It was the first time Fox Network actually used a drone for anything in a live broadcast, which was pretty groundbreaking. It was pretty neat. And when you hear all the stuff they had to go through to be able to do this, they had, according to Fox Network, they had to work with the FAA, Daytona Airport Flight Ops, the FBI, Volusia County Sheriff's Department, Daytona Beach Police, Daytona Beach and Fire and Rescue, the owner of the track, and NASCAR itself to get permission before takeoff. They got clearance limited to the back section where there were no fan seating, just the back stretch. They got to hang out there, fly back and forth, get a couple passes around, which is neat. It's some groundbreaking stuff, and I'm anxious to see where it takes us into the future.
I saw the footage, and I want to bring up a quick point here, by the way, in case somebody has some more knowledge about this than we do. I didn't want to air the footage because, again, I don't want us to get a copyright hit. I want this thing to be totally legit, and we're kind of researching exactly what we can do. A portion of our show is news-oriented, and I think that we can cover stuff like that under the news banner, so to speak. But I got to tell you, for all the stuff that they went through, I hope they have bigger plans, because you could have stuck a camera on a pole for all that they did.
Well, that's what they would use the filament lines for doing this and before this.
Right.
But I mean, it sounded like a nightmare. But it's a step, though. The FAA is okay. Well, okay, fine, we'll let you do this. So hopefully that's what I'm hoping for. I'm saying baby step, baby step, baby step, and then all of a sudden, boom. Now we can do stuff.
So the thing that I saw, and this was years ago, and I'm going to say back in the Phantom 2, probably early Inspire days, and then it kind of disappeared for a while, was the drag races. And the guys would put their Inspire behind a dragster, and, he'd take off down the road. You can't keep up with the thing. Nobody can. But, if you climb and keep your camera focused at it, you kind of get a nice little shot at it. I thought that was kind of innovative at the time. Maybe the Inspire 2 could probably do a little bit better, the first 2 seconds out of the gate. But yeah, I know. I saw the footage, and I read all the stuff about all the problems with it, and I thought that's just really bizarre that they would go to that much work. So they must have something bigger planned. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But anyway,
they have. I think this is future proofing. But speaking of future,
go for it.
DJI has been marked safe from the GPS 2019 week rollover event. Does anybody know what that is? I
haven't even heard this. I
sure as hell didn't. I never heard of it before. My wife actually was sitting on the couch last night. You got your show tomorrow, right? You got some news stories? Yeah, I got some news. How about this one? I was like, well, that's a good one. The GPS satellite, the constellation, it works on a 10-bit binary system. So it counts weeks. It counts the weeks from 0 to 1023. And instead of going to 10,024, it resets to 0 and starts over. But now after doing that, it's going to set the date back. So if DJI software wasn't up to date, when it came to this April 6th, 2019, it would set the date back to August 22nd, 1999, which was the last time this had happened. Which is...
So this is like the Y2K event.
Yes, for GPS.
Yeah, for GPS.
And this is, I'll read one little excerpt from the United States Marine Corps. GPS receivers obtain time from the GPS constellation using 10-bit weeks number, which counts weeks from 0 to 1023, then returns to 0, like I was saying, after 1024 weeks, which is 19.6 years. And in the past, when it would go to, I just said it, I didn't have to read it, but anyway, that's what it's doing. But DJI came out and made a public announcement saying that all their software is up to date, and when this event does take place on April 6th, we don't have to do anything. We're safe.
Well, that's good news.
It's interesting. It's just something I never heard of it. I was like, okay, well, all the GPS stuff up there is like, it's got to be reset every 9.5 years, every 19 years. So it's, it kind of blew my mind.
But this is not a DJI problem. This is all over GPS.
Yes.
And
This
it's
is your
the
car.
resetting of the GPS system. It's not a resetting of the DJI drones. It's a resetting of the GPS system worldwide. Correct. So it's not related to drones in that way. We just have to be a bit careful on those dates.
Yeah. Now, the main reason for my story was just to say that DJI went through all their software and made sure that they were safe. But yeah, if you're driving around and your Magellan says all of a sudden it's August 22nd, 1999 after April, you might I might need a new one. And if we have time for one last story,
we do.
We have, all right, now see, this is more where the FAA future-proof stuff is coming. Skyfire Consulting, public safety UAV, has been approved for beyond visual line of sight flights. So we all know what this means. Visual line of sight.
Yeah,
we all have to obey. We all have to do this. Then we have beyond visual line of sight, which requires the FAA to get involved. Now that the FAA is getting involved and they're experimenting and they're looking at medical opportunities and public safety opportunities, we're getting waivers. People are getting waivers.
I love the graphics, dude. That was awesome.
That was made about 10 minutes before the show started.
Some of this stuff I'm showing you guys right now was made 10 minutes before the show started.
What happened? Yours is so much better, Curtis. Come on.
I know. I was freaking out the last few minutes. Stig was messaging me going, "Are we ready? Are we ready?" I go, I'm rendering as fast as I can. The graphic you guys see right now with Tommy Polo on the bottom, I was rendering that out furiously, trying to get it to make sure everything was working. So
I love it.
No, that's cool. Now, we've also got nighttime waivers coming up, too, that are going to be a lot easier to get, and that's pretty cool, so I'm really digging that.
There's nighttime waivers. There's also flying over people's and crowds waivers with, I believe so far, I don't know 100%, I haven't researched it too much, but I see that they're coming out with these parachute gizmos that are going on the drones now. The Phantom has a square one, looks like it has a bunch of pull starts coming out of it that sits right on top of here. It's a legit parachute system. I've seen videos of them working, and they seem pretty good. So, hooray for waivers!
For me, it would mean a parachute into the water.
Yeah.
Where I'm up here, it's all water, so we're flying over water all the time. It's salt water too. So it's once it goes in, it's like you can recover the shell, and it's like goodbye. It was nice knowing you. So is that all we got? Is that it? Is that it?
That's the news this week.
All right, that's the news this week. The news is brought to you by Polo Vision. I'm going to have to do this again. Yeah, we're going to repeat that. Hang on. Here we go. Polo Vision.
Favorite graphic.
It's one of mine too. I don't have a problem playing it or anything. All right, so Tommy, thank you very much for the news. Let me turn off my news graphic here, and we're going to jump back over here to gallery. Stig, what do you got going on here? So let's. Do we want to do the triangle of exposure first, or do you want to do the live demo?
I think we do the live demo first. So.
All right, so we're going to set up on our speaker view. Stig is going to be doing our live demo today of Air Magic, by the way.
Yeah, the Air Magic.
It's all you, buddy.
Okay, I need to share my screen, so there's a little change there. Okay, now I'm good to go. The Air Magic software is not an image browser. It's an image adjuster, and it's based by it's made by Skylum. I'm sorry, my version is in Norwegian, so it says here over here, drag images over here or import them. That's you probably hear that I'm not American when I speak, so I picked out some sample images, and I'm going to demonstrate first how you adjust them one by one. But I just pull all of them. Yeah, I can pull one first to show you how awesome this software is. It's not to browse images, it's only to use the software to adjust it. I also have to mention, I don't work for Skylum, just so
I also found this out last night, and I thought it was interesting. I thought when I first heard about it that this was cloud-based, but you actually get to have the software on your computer, so that's pretty cool.
It's on my computer. And the stuff here is that they say, Skylum tells you that they use artificial intelligence to analyze the image. When I drag it in, it says, oh, I recognize this is from a Mavic Pro. And it knows it's a drone image. It looks at the content to find, is there a lot of skies there? Or is there any other things I should be aware of before I start processing the image? And this is before. This is from a DNG file from the Mavic Pro. And here you see the result.
Wow.
So if I had pulled all my images over, it would do this analyzing on each image before it run it. You see that says export here. It says in Norwegian, but it means export. Before is written with a funny sign for you, the O with the crossover, but it's the before and after image. You can pull the slider to change where you see. And this is the result just by running it by default. What I'm going to do now is to open more images. And I'm going to pick a panoramic version from the same area in Norway. It's a beautiful place in Norway. Just less than an hour drive from my home. And have a look at this. I blow it up now, the window, to show you this. I double click on the image. It says analyzing the image, looking for fog, adjust structure and exposure, and look at the result. It's crazy. This is just by artificial intelligence to recognize what is skies and what is.
Can you pull? I want to see the before. Yeah, look at that sky. That's amazing.
It's but also look in the darker part in the lower image. It's crazy. It's I have been a photographer this year for 35 years, and I've been working with beta versions of Photoshop. But I have to tell you, this is very different. And the idea here is that you don't need to know anything about image processing. You just pull it in, tell it to analyze the image, and you can do this. But then somebody says, oh, this, how would it go with my personal style and so on? You can actually make your own personal style or import others. On the left corner here, you find styles. You can go and get more styles, or you can make your own. Just look at the image now. I'm saying I would like to have even better skies. I can pull it over to one of the most crazy one. It doesn't give the big result and difference there, but there's another nice thing on top of this. You see the small brush down here?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's the amount of effect. So you can do individual adjustments if you think it's too strong in the effect.
So if you get too much saturation in there, but you like it, but you want to dial it back just a hair or two from what they suggest. I like that. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, so you have a possibility to override the program. And here comes the beautiful thing. You see, I can click on export this image, or I can export both images I have open. So if I'm done with all the images and setting them up, I can just export them. But now I would like to open, now I have a problem here because I have a window hiding a closing cross. I would like to add some more images into here. One I took on Crete that has fog in it. It's a bit blurry and foggy. So I pull it up and it says, oh, it's a Mavic Pro. And still it's a DNG file. And it says, oh, I promise you I make it look wonderful. And you see there's a huge difference.
Wow.
This is a small Catholic church that's on that island. And again, I can enhance it more by just dragging the slider over to the right. You see much stronger effect, and you shouldn't believe it's the same image. This is a way to adjust images that is, I remember one word for it, amazeballs. That's a beautiful word for it. And when you're done, you can export one image or all of them. If I just now look at one image again, and I'm going to say I'm going to export it with that setting, it's to disk, and I can choose the file format: Photoshop, PSD file, JPEG, TIFF, so you don't get any compression on it, PNG. I think I would prefer TIFF unless you're going to have it on web page where you need it. JPEG 2000 is not so very interesting. Even PDF you can make of it.
Wow.
But if I pick a JPEG, you set the compression and you say continue. I set the export folder and I just say continue. No, it's saying I am exporting a masterpiece.
It says that. It says I'm exporting a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Well, they have a sense of humor.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about Skyrim. They have a lot of cool naming on stuff and showing stuff. Just to show you the finished product, I open it in images in Windows, just to show, oh, it goes up in Photoshop. Okay, that was not my plan.
And Photoshop is not fast, so you got to wait for it to open.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was not my plan. But have a look at the image. It's quite impressive how well it goes up and how much you can do. And of course, if you are advanced, you can put on vignetting and do a lot of more work in Photoshop. But the result is quite fascinating, that it's possible to get so good adjustments so fast by this simple software that it's not even expensive. It's cost around $40 or something. It's not bad on the price.
Let me add something real quick here, Stig. We will put a link to this in the comment section or in the below. But this is not an affiliate link. I do not believe in affiliate links. It'll just be a link there. You guys can use you can Google it if you want, or if you just want to use the link that I put up here later, that's fine. But we're not getting any kickback from this. We're just interested in the software.
Yeah, that's important to know, that we don't get paid or anything. I would like to show you an image I have done a lot of work with in Photoshop, and then I pulled it into Skyrim and I said, oh my God, is it possible? It's a beautiful image. I love the image in the original version, but have a look. This is the original image. I took it with a Mavic 2 Pro, and have a look what's happening.
That's impressive.
That's crazy. It's
wow.
So I thought I was good at adjusting the image, but when I see this, I get some chills on my back and thinking, oh my God. And I think a lot of the photographers that says, oh, what will happen with your personal style if artificial intelligence take over the image editing? Well, for most, I guess about 75% of all drone photographers that are not professional image editors will get better images just by using this software. Actually, it's crazy. I've never seen anything like this.
That's amazing.
So I'm kind of, I understand people getting upset, but this raises the bar of image editing for the pros too, because when you can do this just by artificial intelligence, just think what you have to do to be above those who use software like this.
Well, one of the key things of being a professional is speed and being able to quickly get done what you need to get done so you can get it out to the customer. And if you can get a quality product out there using something like this, there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. In my opinion.
No problems at all. Very interesting. We're talking about what we get out of this is just that I got to test this as a beta tester, and I'm so impressed that I told you that we need to show this to the people because it will change. But we also have invited the CEO of Skylum,
Yes, we can.
Alex.
We have confirmed that.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So he will be in our show later on, and then he can talk about. Can we let him talk about the history behind the ideas of making artificial intelligence? Because this is only one of the software they do that with. In Skylum, the Luminar software, they have made a lot of work with enhancing skies. And in drone photos, what do you find much of in drone photos? Skies.
Naturally.
This image, by the way, when you got to say that you use auto bracketing on and shoot 3 or 5 exposures, and you use the best one.
Correct. I use AEB bracketing, and I'll set it for the 5 exposure. I really could probably do 2, because a lot of what I do is at night. I've been doing some night photos. I'm still a hobbyist, not flying professionally. But yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Listen up, Curtis. Those 5 bracketed exposures, if you put them together, you will get results like this. Because
what I've heard.
When you use bracketing, you extend the dynamic range of your image if you use software to combine them to an HDR. But a lot of the HDR images are going far out, and people use it too heavy. I'm happy to live in a place where artists in many hundred years have been coming to paint the skies we have. So we have amazing nature. We have, on the one side, I turn west, I see this kind of landscape, and the image of before with the mountains, I turn the opposite way to the east, and I see views like this one. So I'm in paradise when it comes to photography.
Yeah, really.
So
you want a real challenge? Come to New Jersey. I would challenge you to find anything worth taking a picture of other than the beach. Even the beaches might make it a little. See, the water's all brown.
I would like to add some words about that, because images are not taken, they are made. That is the Ansel Adams words about photography. You don't take pictures, you make them. And HDR would be, Ansel Adams, he made the black and white version of HDR when he was in Yosemite and took the images there and in Mexico. That was the black and white version of it. He called it the zone system. And so this thing about extending the dynamic range of images, it's not a new thing. It's been there for many hundred years, almost from the photography beginning. The idea of extending the range you can get from one exposure. But auto bracketing, or AEB, automatic exposure bracketing, 3 or 5 shots, and shoot in RAW. That's important. Always shoot in the RAW. The RAW file you get is actually a DNG file, Adobe innovation.
Right.
Digital negative. That has nothing to do with RAW, actually. It's a file container to make sure that the quality of the files are high. This image you will see later on today, when I was out flying, that's made with the Mavic 2 Pro. You can see that it recognizes it. And it says, oh, I'm going to make it look fantastic. But this is still just a quick before and after, just by clicking on it.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, if you like to do it with all the images you took that day, you just pull them into this software, say export all images, and leave it. Let the machine do the job. And it will look for details in the image to decide what kind of adjustments is needed to it. So I'm
Wow.
ecstatic of this because if you do in Lightroom, as an example, that is a superb kind of browser and editor for fast editing. You can click on a lot of images on the DNG files, and you can set the same setting for all of them. But that's not what's happening here. Each image will get its own special adjustment.
That's neat.
In the chat room, Rob Crowley asked, "What about for video?"
If you should run this on video, you need a super core machine because it's a heavy.
Well, interesting enough, though, I mean, you can. This is kind of be a weird way to do this as far as a workflow, but you could go into something like Premiere or a video editing program and export an image sequence, and then each sequence could be put into AirMagic, and then brought back into Premiere and rendered out as a
that's
a file. So I mean, that's kind of a long way around to do things, but you could do that way. And if you're not confident in your color correction skills, I would actually kind of suggest that as a way to do it. It'll take you longer to do, like I said, but it's still, you do your edit, figure out what you want.
No, I got a good idea for another of those tutorials. I'm going to learn the people in the drone people how to make their own lookup tables in Photoshop to use in Adobe Premiere to adjust video. That will be a cool thing to teach people.
That would be good. I would like that.
So that's a better way to do it, actually, to make a good LUT in
a LUT lookup table.
Yeah, lookup table in Adobe Photoshop. That's possible to make in Photoshop, and then export that and use that in Premiere. I have made some when the Mavic 2 Pro came out. I made that for the new D-Log 10-bit format and gave it away in the groups. I think you remember that.
Yeah.
That was done in 5 minutes or so. So, but this software and the software from Skylum is are using the artificial intelligence to analyze the content of the image, not only the colors and that stuff. It's analyzing to see, is there a lot of skies? Is there water? Is there dark areas? So if you take a picture of a red car with a blue skies behind and one with a dark forest behind, this software will treat those images in different ways to make sure that they get the optimal result out of it.
Awesome.
So
I had one quick question. I noticed one question. I'm not 100% sure if you answered it. You may have, but I think it was William R. mentioned, like, what if there's a picture with errant exposure? But then I also kind of wanted to add to that, like, what if the picture just has just a big mess up spot in it? Will it do anything with that, or is it just kind of it's just color and light correction?
It's not a retouching software.
Okay.
Yeah. So if it's a major big spot and stuff like that, it probably fixes some of it, but it's not there's a limit of how complicated you can make these algorithms to analyze images. And and the idea here from Skylum is that they have made a special program for drone photography, because then they can limit the amount of analyzing they have to do to recognize the motives in the image.
Oh, okay.
So that's a nice way to attack it, because if you say these are 99% aerial footage that have certain characteristics, then you can make the artificial intelligence programming closer to hit. But there's another thing with this I didn't mention. Artificial intelligence are also based on machine learning. So
yes,
when you have a preferred style on a certain type of images, this software will remember that.
It
learns your style.
So that's nice. So after a few uses, you could kind of just be very, you could kind of get real confident with just hitting the button and walking away.
Actually, I tested it on 250 images and I went through them, and there was only 3 images I was disappointed of.
Wow.
That's a
pretty
major
good.
test. And then I run really extreme images like the things you have seen through it. And I was shocked that this is something I'm a bit stoked of this software, because it's going far behind any automatization I have ever seen before.
So in the chat room, I Doug's giving me grief about my my work desk behind me because he's saying, are you ashamed because Tommy's is clean? I'm like, well, Tommy doesn't work on that desk back there. I actually do work. It's a toolbox, okay?
What are you talking about? I do a YouTube show, a live YouTube show.
But you're not working on your drones. Yeah. I just wanted to point that out.
Nobody get to see my behind scenes shots here, because I have one half of the room you can see, the other half I have throw everything I have on the other end.
That's what I did.
Stig, is that it for Air Magic?
Yeah, I think we're done now. I close it and stop the sharing of the screen.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna talk about the triangle of death now. Let's go back to our gallery view and
can I mention something before you run it?
Sure.
Yeah, there's some issues that I like to address before we started. Some where I say horizontal panel and it should be a vertical panel. It's just in case somebody register. And please remember, English is not my first language. Please remember that. And then the next one, that's always do a slight underexposure and raw format.
All right, here we go.
Hi, and welcome to my office. Today I'm going to talk about the big mystery that people struggle with, the exposure. How to set your exposure correct, if it's video or photography by a drone or a regular camera or video camera, doesn't matter. It's the same basic rules that goes for all of them. And there's a little shape like this. That contains the magic of the triangle of exposure.
The 3 main components in exposure are sensitivity of the film or the sensor, light, the amount of light that hits the film or sensor, exposure time, the time you let light expose to the film or sensor. I have chosen to use DJI Mavic 2 Pro as a reference for explaining. So all the values are based on this drone. Let's talk about the first triangle, sensitivity. The sensitivity are described as ISO. The higher number, the higher sensitivity. Digital cameras has no grain, only pixels. Grain in the old-fashioned films was getting bigger and bigger the higher the ISO went. On a digital sensor, the pixels always stay the same size, but you will get noise in the images, especially in the darker parts. On the Mavic 2 Pro, this starts getting visible around ISO 600 to 800, and getting worse the higher the ISO are. The sensitivity on the Mavic 2 Pro can be set to values between ISO 100 and ISO 12,800, depending on which mode you're shooting in. The next triangle are the amount of light coming through the lens to the sensor. Based on focal length of the lens, sensor size, and the opening the iris in the lens has, the F values are defined in values like this one. As you can see, the lowest number has the widest opening and the highest number the narrowest opening. Some cameras like the one on the Mavic Pro, the old one, and Phantom 3 series has fixed apertures And then we need other ways to control the amount of light that comes in through the lens, like ND filters. Yeah, even cats know how to adjust the aperture. The aperture on the Mavic 2 Pro goes from f2.8 to f11. And now to the most difficult thing to explain: exposure time, or shutter speed as somebody say. The exposure time are the time you let the light into the sensor, and the values are given in seconds of a fraction of a second, like 1 second, 1/60 part of a second, 1/30 part of a second, and so on. The terms shutter speed are very misleading because we are not talking about speed or motion at all. Speed are described as miles per hour, kilometers per hour, meter per second, and feet per second, and so on. The reason the term shutter speed was used is simply back in the days you had a rotating plate shutter with 180 degrees opening, and the speed of the rotation set the time of light hitting the film. You don't say your car runs 4 seconds per hour or 10 feet per mile, unless you own a Prius. So that is why I try to use the term exposure time to describe the time you expose light to the sensor. Therefore, I use the symbol for time in the illustrations. Mavic 2 Pro can use exposure times, the shortest 1/8000 fraction of a second, up to 8 seconds. So these three things make exposure together, and they all interact with each other, and we have a description of value of under and overexposure too. Exposure values are given in negative numbers for underexposure and in positive values for overexposure.
Oh, you're probably bored now by all this theoretical stuff, and wouldn't it be much more interesting to see this in real life and do some flying and show it in the app, on the DJI app, how it functions?
The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
Okay, I'm back now, and we are going to explore the elements to control exposure that are found in the DJI app. By the way, here's a result of the horizontal panel I shot during the flight. The component of exposure settings are shown in the gray bar almost in the middle on the top. And when you click on the slider icon underneath the red record button at the right, you get into the camera setting as shown here. The ISO setting is shown as you can see here, and you can adjust it by the slider and the camera controller. Aperture settings can also be adjusted on cameras that has adjustable aperture, like the Mavic 2 Pro. The exposure time, or should we call it shutter time, shown here, and will also be a possible to adjust by sliding in the camera control. Exposure value, or EV. You see the plus and minus signs. Personally, I prefer when I'm shooting to use at least minus 0.3 to make sure that I don't overexposure the highlights. Most of the DJI radios, the Phantom 3, the Phantom 4, the Mavics, you have a controller wheel on the right side in front that you can use to adjust exposure settings. In some radios, you can push that wheel to choose which setting you adjust, or when you're running in auto, you can adjust the EV settings. Then something will change in your settings, ISO, shutter speed, or aperture, to make the sum you adjusted to. In the next episode, I will tell you what filter to use when, why you need it, and how you use it. Please stay tuned to the Drone Owners Network live show, and I'll be back.
That was today's hot tip. Trying to punch a button. Airflix says that came out weird. I'm not sure what he was talking about, but we'll figure that out as we go along. Oh, I'll be back. I got it.
It's an internal thing between us in the Drone Owners Network.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I saw some of the questions during this stuff. Somebody asked why I don't use the histogram. I use it, but this time I'm taking the basics of the settings of the exposure, not how to measure and make sure you get the exposure adjusted. That's a different story. And when that comes up, I'm going to show you the magic of one finger, what that can do on the screen to help you make it better. But when I'm trying to talk about this thing, I would like to simplify it a bit and not showing everything on one show, because that will be too much to absorb. This is the basics of exposure, how they what you can adjust their exposure with, and then later on we will see on the helpers you have in the software to find the correct adjustment of the exposure. That's a different story than just looking at the settings. This was the settings. Next part about exposure will be how to adjust it correctly.
Arnold's signature. That was good. All right, so we want to thank you guys for joining us today. I believe that's everything that we got going. Stig, thank you very much for those presentations. We really do appreciate that. Those were pretty cool. Tommy, thank you very much for joining me again. I believe Randy Foster is going to be back next week, and I can tell you guys a little bit about future programming. We have been working diligently to get some top-level guests on, and I'm going to go ahead and spill the beans on one of them for next week. Mr. Romeo Dersher is going to be on. I've already spoken with him. Yes, directly from DJI and directly back from China. He just recently went to visit DJI in China. Now, how much he's going to tell us, I don't know. Probably not much, but he does have some interesting photos on his Instagram and stuff that he shared over there. So I look forward to meeting up with him. All right, that's it for us, guys. I'm sorry, say what?
I'm getting the bamboo shoots. He's going to tell us something.
All right, well, we'll get it out of him. I actually have so I guess I'll tell you guys. I have this trick I used to play on my daughter a long time ago, and I called it 20 questions, and it had one-word answers, and it was rapid fire. And it kind of worked like this. It's like, okay, so Tommy, when I ask you a question, I want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind. Favorite color?
Blue.
Okay, favorite food?
Pizza.
What was new at DJI?
They got rid of my drone.
It won't work now that I told you. But you do about 5 or 6 of those, and sometimes things slip. But It's not going to work. Romeo's too good. He's too good to catch that. He won't do
Yeah.
that. But anyway, thank you guys very much for joining us. Like I said, we have a second show that we are going to be developing. It's a different format. It's a roundtable discussion amongst drone pilots about current events. And we're going to be inviting folks who are in our chat group and who kind of hang out with us. Oh, by the way, Kirk just tuned in from Germany, the guy who is providing the music for our show Open. We really appreciate that, Kurt. Thank you. That's
Yes.
an awesome song and really well mixed. As a musician myself, I'm like, that mix was freaking tight, dude. Kurt, we're going to put a link to your Audio Jungle file here as soon as I get done with the thing here. Corey Jacob, excellent job. Nice catch on Romeo for the show. Thank you, Airflix. We appreciate you and everybody else that's listening. Now, the next show that's coming up, I'm going to give you just a little bit of a tease, and then we are out of here.